It's a sad day for gamers, to be honest. Half-Life 3 was more or less confirmed, but there's still nothing about it, and Tom Clancy has died. He died only a couple hours before I recorded this video. Um, so, first and foremost, I'd like to extend um, my personal just thoughts to his family, because someone who dies in the family, you don't want that to happen. Death is constant, but you never know who it's going to hit and when it's going to hit them. But with his death, we can remember many things about him. And specifically considering the nature of my show, I'm going to talk about how he influenced video games, and more specifically how the games that he was a part of influenced video games. First of all, one of the main studios that works on games with the Tom Clancy tag, Red Storm, is based here here where I live. I mean, behind me, that's a Ghost Recon poster right there in the middle, and then another one on the door. So, it's become a part of my life. I mean, I know quite a few people who've either worked there or work there, and I can only imagine that the impact this is having on them is just this man that helped, in part, define our career has just died. And I can only imagine that the people who are working on the Division, massive games, I think. Where's Behemoth? No, that's the Xbox Live guys. And Rainbow Six Patriots. I can only imagine that now it's gone from we have this standard to live up to of the Tom Clancy name to he's just died. What does this mean for our game? Do we? I can only assume he hasn't had as much of an influence on those games as he did in the past with the first sort of Rainbow Sixes and the first Ghost Recons. But I can only imagine that this still has an impact on them. Like I said, he helped define their careers. He's helping set their careers forward from ideas that he's had either in a book or just in general musings. And when I go back to talking about influence, when the Rainbow Six games first came out, and you look at the first Ghost Recons and the first Splinter Cells, those were late 90s, early 2000s. This was before the Call of Duty craze of modern combat. This was before modern war games were really popular. I'm certain they certainly existed, probably in the arcade, but not games that made it so both real in terms of how the gameplay worked and relevant insofar as they were either of recent conflicts or they were of very shockingly potential conflicts. Korea being the focus of quite a few games. That's enough. And it's always tough when you think about influence because you have to consider what came from where. Because certainly the core gameplay is derived from what he wrote, but the story is obviously what he based, what the company based the story of the game on. Those stories were translated back and forth. So, while insofar as doing what completely defines a game, insofar as influence, he at least managed to really shape an influence, which has its own importance. I would definitely argue that Ghost Recon Future Soldier had these UI elements that would pop up in the environment. Like you look in the sky and you'd see like a GPS location of where you are in the world, which was very interesting. And now we're seeing that in pretty much every other Tom Clancy game. You look at the Division and how you're seeing this entire 3D map pop up in front of you, or Splinter Cell Backlist, which is getting raving reviews a couple months ago, but still, it's now become shockingly relevant. It has those sort of things where it's impacted UI, which I really like, for feeling smooth and feeling like you're controlling the character. And I don't know if Mr. Clancy himself designed those ideas or came up with those ideas, but certainly it stems from likely how he looked at the series evolving. in some way, shape, or form. So, his impact has spread, but he's just an author. He isn't someone who made the game himself. Well, he was definitely instrumental in getting some of those games made. Imagine if somebody like Shigeru Miyamoto died. Where would the industry go? How would the industry react? Because certainly people are feeling the death of Tom Clancy, but they aren't. I don't think that the world's going to end of gaming. But you think about when he dies and how many people he influenced and how many games he created just for being him in like 1 year. You look at Legend of Zelda and Mario, and those are two of the most important games arguably ever. And it must be an incredible weight to be somebody who's worked on a game that Tom Clancy was responsible for, but then imagining the impact of working on a game that Shigeru Miyamoto was responsible for and suddenly having to live up to his reputation, quite literally. I don't think it's something that any of us really want to imagine, but it'll happen. These guys aren't getting any younger, but neither are the people who play the games. So, there's that, right? Thank you for watching. This is a very somber episode, but it should be a somber episode because a very important person in gaming has recently died. But thank you for watching. I'll see all of you later.